Good morning students. Today we will learn about our topic plant reproduction. How plants reproduce new plants we learn in our learning capsule. So plant reproduction. First of all, what is plant reproduction? The process by which a plant reproduces a new plant is known as plant reproduction. Plant reproduction can be done in two ways. The first one is through the seeds of the plant and the second one is through the other parts of the plants. First we learn how we can reproduce a new plant from the seeds. See, we know that seeds are found in fruits and seeds are of different shapes and sizes. Like the mustard seed is very small and the mango seed is very big in size. Same way there are many seeds in a fruit. For example, the apple fruit contains lots of seeds whereas the mango fruit contains only one seed. This is the inside structure of a seed. It consists of one outer covering which is known as the seed coat. The seed coat protects the inside part of the plant. This is the baby plant which is inside this seed and this baby plant is known as embryo. This all area is known as cotyledon which is also known as seed leaves. These seed leaves or the cotyledon provide nutrients and energy to this baby plant. Now we will see the germination process. Germination process is the process by which a seed grows into a new plant. So that process is known as germination. There are three conditions for germination to happen. The plant needs right amount of moisture, air and warmth, then it will germinate. If any one of these three are missing, the seed will not germinate. So there are these different stages of germination. This is our soil where the seed is inside the soil. Now when water is given to the soil, the seed soaks the water and swells up, loosens up. Once it loosens up, the little root comes out of the seed first and then slowly the shoot system starts developing. The root system develops in the soil and the shoot system which contains leaves develop outside the soil in the air, in the surroundings. So slowly this seed becomes into a young plant which is having its own leaves and this young plant is known as sapling. The next is seed dispersal. The ways through which seeds are scattered away from the parent plant is known as seed dispersal method and there are four methods of seed dispersal. First, seed dispersal by wind. When the wind blows, the seeds of maple plant and dandelion, they are dispersed in the wind and in this way they are scattered away from the parent plant. Seed dispersal by water. Example, the seeds of lotus plant and coconut, they are dispersed through water. They travel through water to far off places and then a new plant grows where they are. Through animals, birds eat these fruits like guavas and berries. The fleshy part gets digested and the undigested part is spread across the soil through their droppings and a new plant grows from that seed. And one example is burdock seeds. it has hooks on its surface which gets attached to the fur of animals, and in this way the seeds are also scattered away from the parent plant. And the last one method is the explosion method. For example, the seeds of peas in a pod, they are exploded when it is ripened enough, and in this way the seeds are scattered away. The other examples are that of ladyfinger plant and balsam plant. Now we have talked about how we can reproduce a new plant from seed. But a plant may not need seeds to grow new plant. We can use other parts of the plant to grow a new plant. The other parts are roots, stems and leaves. From roots we can grow a new plant, and the examples are carrot, beetroot and sweet potato. The roots of these plants store food which then can be used to grow a new plant. From stems, for example, the underground stems like potato and ginger, they have small buds on their surface, and when we sow it in the soil, we can reproduce a new plant. Same way, the underground stem of onion, which has fleshy leaves, which is known as bulb, same way we can reproduce onion plant. Another example is that of garlic. The third one is example of runners like mint, strawberry and grass. These plants, they run along the ground, and from there new plants come up. And the fourth method is through stem cutting. The example is that of rose plant, hibiscus plant and money plant, where we cut the stem and we can use that part of the stem to sow it into a soil, and then we can generate a new plant out of it. The other part is leaves. For example, the plant like bryophyllum, it has this leaf structure where these small leaves or the buds are there on the edge of this bryophyllum leaf, and when these buds fall off on the ground, the new plant comes out of it. So we have covered how we can produce a new plant from seeds and from the other parts of the plant. Mostly plants reproduce by seeds, but some of the plants can reproduce by these other parts as well. Then we'll talk about how we can grow plants in a particular season to practice agriculture. First we'll talk about crops. What are crops? Crops are the plants that are grown in particular season and harvested for food and other products. Those plants are called crops, and the practice of growing these crops is known as agriculture. Now, there are two types of crops. The first one is kharif crops and the second one is rabi crops. Kharif crops are also known as monsoon crops or the summer crops. These are planted before the starting of monsoon, around in the month of June, and are harvested in the month of October. These crops, they need lots of water. That's why they are sown before monsoon, before the onset of monsoon. The example of kharif crops are wheat, maize, millets, jowar and some pulses. The second type of crop is rabi crop, which is also known as the winter crop. It is sown during the month of November and harvested around the month of April. Rabi crops need less rainfall. That's why they are not sown in the month of monsoon. So the rabi crops example are wheat, barley, peas, cauliflower, radish. Now to grow a healthy crop, we need to take care we need to take into consideration few factors. First of all, we need to take care the temperature at which we can raise a crop, the soil required for that particular crop, and the water. Water is essential part for growing the crops. Like for temperature, in this case we can see cauliflower needs lower temperature, that's why they are sown in the month of winter, whereas rice, maize, they are sown in the month of hot summers. Soil also matters a lot because soil provides important water and nutrients to growing crops. Water. Water also required in kharif crops. Water is required in large amount of quantities, and for rabi crops less water is required to grow these crops. Now once we have decided which crop to grow, or we have chosen our crops to grow in our field, we need to follow crop stages. The first stage is to prepare the soil for the crop. It is known as plowing the field or preparing the soil. By plowing the field, we loosen up the soil and make it ready for sowing the seeds. And then we enrich our soil with nutrients by adding fertilizers and manures. Manures are organic in nature, fertilizers are inorganic in nature. These are chemical compounds. So these fertilizers and manures, they enrich the soil with nutrients and make it ready for sowing of the seeds in the field. Then we start sowing seeds in the field, which can be done manually or through machines. Once we have sown the seeds in the field, we need to give them a regular water supply. This is known as irrigating the field, where the water is given at different stages of growing crops. Then we need to spray pesticides and insecticides to protect our crops from insects. And in this also we can include cutting off weeds which grow along the crops. Next stage is harvesting the crop. Once the crop is matured, we can then harvest or cut the crop, and then we can store that crop until it is used later or sold in the market. In this way, we can set our crops. So this entire seeds, other plant parts, agriculture is all part of the plant reproduction parts, and this covers our topic, plant reproduction. We have learned a lot of things about plant reproduction through seeds, through other parts as well, which you students can do as holiday homework. Try to sow different plants, which I have given example over here. Try with roots, with stems, and try to reproduce a plant through seed, which is the easiest method. And then you can share your observation once the school opens up. Thank you very much.